With that, I'll recognize Ms. Kiggans from Virginia. She represents large naval installations.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I represent Virginia's 2nd Congressional District, so Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads area, large Navy and veteran population. I can't imagine how frustrating it was just to visit those barracks. I know on barracks tours in my district, I have left almost in tears. It's hard to watch. You know, as a veteran, Navy spouse, Navy mom. I mean, I think of my kids and their friends, and I put my staff in my minivan the first weekend I could and drove them down to Hampton Roads and said, look around and think about, you know, we talked about the college campuses, but think about the dorms there. And I've done lots of dorm, tours with my high school kids, and then think about the conditions that we're asking these guys to live in. So I know we've mentioned recruitment, retention, but I mean, this is absolutely directly correlated to those issues. It hurts my heart when I hear other Navy and military parents say, I can't recommend this job to my kids for these reasons. So we have to do better. I know that, as a nurse practitioner, housing is certainly a component of healthcare. So when I think of nutrition, I think of I want, troops that have good physical readiness, good mental health, all of the things we talk about routinely here in Congress. Housing is certainly a component of that. So we've got to get it right. You said, chronic neglect and underfunding. I think that was kind of a perfect summary of what's wrong with this. And you talked about base leadership and how they, the requests for money weren't there. I mean, I got so angry with our base leadership because they didn't put in the request. They're busy warfighting, they're busy training. I get it, but I think it's our job. We talked about oversight a little bit, but to pester them. Hey, what do you need? The deadline's coming up. What do you need? I want to put money in for you. We got $0 for NAS Oceana this past year. So, and only 49% of our housing is livable. 49%. That means 51% is not livable. And when I say livable, that's even questionable. When we went and we saw the conditions that looked eerily similar to some of the pictures you posted. So we have to do better. I know our defense budget is limited. We just had a brief discussion on privatization. I've seen some of the good things we've done at Norfolk. You talked about scoring. Maybe we need to change that scoring, the way we're doing scoring, so that we can allot for that housing money to be going towards privatization. We can't do it all in the defense budget. I certainly want to prioritize warfighting. So we got to think outside the box here. So, I know you said there was some things that you were privatization, some concerns, but do you think that's a direction we should be pursuing? I personally think it's a direction we're pursuing, but you're the expert.
I have so many thoughts based on what you said, but GAO has in the past recommended that DoD explore and examine privatization more closely as a possible option. What came out of that were service-specific strategies that you really couldn't use them to inform policy decision-making, which is why we are really looking forward to that DoD report, which is overdue. Certainly, I think that is an option that should be explored. I don't, from the GAO perspective, want to make a policy call, but absolutely there are benefits to privatization as well as there are cons. But as I said, the facilities I toured that were privatized were really impressive. Can I make one note about Oceana, because I think it's important, and about Navy in particular, and I'm sure you're aware of this. Condition scores 0 to 100 for every facility or every barracks. The one in Oceana that we've looked at has a score of 12 out of 100. That said, for 3 fiscal years in a row, the Navy requested $0 for new military construction for barracks. In one other Navy installation, the installation did put forward a request for funding for new barracks for 10 years in a row and never got it funded. So that is, I think, in part why installation commanders are throwing up their hands and giving up.
Yeah, well, I think it's our job in Congress to educate them. I mean, they change every 2 to 3 years. They are focused on things that need to be focused on, getting that mission done. So it's our job to say, hey, we want to get you money, help us with how to do that. In the DoD accountability piece, I mean, I think, Assistant Secretary Berger has been wonderful. She's come down a couple times, so I've really enjoyed working with her. I don't know if we need to, you talked about the Department of Defense was kind of a little less clear, so putting some just people in place to make sure there is that accountability, in addition to members of Congress doing our job as well. And then the only other comment I would have is that, I think of other apartment complexes. Who's building these things initially? I know we have one at NAS or at Naval Station Norfolk that $80 million, and it's less than 20 years old, covered in black mold. I mean, it's on the demo list. That's another thing. We need to increase funding for demolition. I'm sick of looking at these buildings that we're not going to be able to restore, but just making sure that we are building quality products. I think we are not building quality products, and that's leading to a lot of these issues. And I'm out of time, but I'd go on for about another hour. Thank you.